Now, join me this time from Washington, D.C. is someone who's definitely not a jagoff. He is the opinion editor for the Daily Caller, Jordan Bloom. Jordan, welcome to the show.
Hi, Rick. Glad to be here.
And I should point out that one of our producers, Christine Johnson, writes occasionally for the Daily Caller, and Jordan happens to be her editor. Now, the reason we brought you on, Jordan, is because you have a very interesting, and I'll call it troubling story. Now, for our viewers' sake, parody accounts are a dime a dozen on Twitter. Parody accounts are accounts which pretend to be someone when instead they're poking fun at someone in humor. For example, there's an account called Ann Coulter's Vagina. Liberals love it. It's very popular on Twitter. But you, Jordan Bloom, you created a parody account called @salon.com, and that @salon.com was the name of the Twitter parody account, and it pokes fun of the liberal website salon.com.
That's right. That's right. It was actually me and my roommate. And the idea was sort of, we were sitting around on a couch one night and started throwing out fake Salon headlines because it's just so easy to parody. If you go to the site, it's just utterly hyperbolic and kind of funny in and of itself. You can go to the Salon website and it's good for a laugh, even, you know, parody completely aside. And it managed to rack up in the couple of weeks before it was suspended several thousand followers.
Let me mention, Jordan. I want our viewers to know that they suspended your account. Twitter took your account off its site. That's the key point here. But go ahead, continue.
Right, and I guess I should stipulate also that that we weren't exactly playing by their rules. We, according to Twitter's terms of service, you have to stipulate in the Twitter account that it's a parody, and we didn't do that. And so they were within their own terms to shut us down. But still, that sort of raises a question, right? That maybe they can't take a joke, or that what good is a parody if you can't fool people with it?
Right. So where is this now? Is it still down? Is it in the works of being brought back up? Have they responded to your inquiries?
Well, we have appealed, and I was hoping to have heard back by now. It's been about a week now since it was suspended. I'd been hoping that there's a 48-hour period before they can do anything, so that's already long passed. And yeah, haven't heard anything so far. We've promised to include a disclaimer now, but still no word.
Yeah, and you guys put some great headlines out there. It is stuff which you ought to know is humorous. Here's the headline I love, Jordan. 10 signs your cat might be racist. You know,
that's right.
On the one hand, I know that's humor, but on the other hand, if you look at a liberal website, that's a serious headline, isn't it?
Right, and I think that the good that came out of all of this is just the number, and I've got to give a shout out to the rest of Twitter. There were probably several dozen people that jumped in and changed their own avatars to the Salon headline and started tweeting out their own things under the hashtags freesalon.com. At one point, the night after it was suspended, it was in the range of 300 or 400 tweets per hour. So there was kind of a groundswell of support for what we were doing.
And you know what? Again, one of those headlines, 10 signs your cat may be a racist, this is parody. But here's a headline from the actual site, which you were parodying, Jordan Bloom. From wet T-shirts to oral sex contests, a brief history of sexploitive party games. That was a real headline. How can someone not parody a site that puts out those sort of headlines?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's a bit of a farce.
And here's another one. I was poor. I was a GOP diehard. I hated government, even as it was the only thing trying to save me. But here's how one day I finally saw the light. That was from a real story on salon.com. Again, the site that you're parodying.
Right. It seems like the site's under the impression that polyamory and socialism is what's going to save us.
You know, Jordan, before we move on, I just want to ask you, it caught my attention for a couple of reasons. One, we see Dinesh D'Souza unable to get satisfaction from Google. They are directing viewers to Google. When people put in America the movie, the search does not come up directly. As Dinesh said on this show, it'd be one thing if Burger King couldn't correct that, but this is Google. It's taken a couple weeks for them to correct it. We saw Costco say that, you know what, we're going to remove his book from our store. That was just a business decision. It wasn't ideological. Well, we find out that this week, President Obama was in the home of Costco, of the Costco co-founder on a fundraising tour. Then we see your story with Twitter. As you said, they were within their realm of rules, do you think any of this is any of this a trend that should be of concern of ours, in your opinion?
Well, of course it's a trend, and we weren't playing by their rules because the game is rigged, obviously, and Dinesh D'Souza is the perfect example of that. And does it constitute a war on free speech? I don't know. It certainly proves that progressives have trouble taking a joke.
All right, well, listen, Jordan Bloom, I hope you bring back @salon.com, and if you don't, then under a different name, and continue to parody that liberal website that has the goofiest of stories and headlines. Thanks for joining us, Jordan Bloom from the Daily Caller.